Euzu billahi mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. İnnen nefse le'emmeratun bis-su'i. Sadakallahul azim. In the Surah Yūsuf, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is saying that nafs is a certain enjoiner of evil. Enjoin in English, in the dictionary, it says that it orders, it urges. So nafs is a certain enjoiner which orders evil. An example given in the dictionary is that the doctor enjoined the patient to walk daily, forced, urged. So our topic actually is Awliya of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Awliya is the plural of wali. Wali is the friend of Allah, somebody who has reached the maqam of awliya, friend of Allah. Inshallah, we're going to look at some of them over the few khutbahs, and also how did they reach these levels? How can we reach the level of Khalilullah, the friend of Allah, wali of Allah? What did they do? How did they achieve that maqam? And what should we do in order to reach that maqam too? Is it open for everybody? Yes. We just have to want to do it and follow the people's footsteps that have done it in the past. We're going to start with one that probably you've never heard of his name, Sayyid Hasan Husamuddin Ussaki. He was born in Bukhara, in Uzbekistan, in the year 1473, 20 years after Istanbul was conquered. He lived there. He is also Ahl Bayt. From his father's side and his mother's side, his lineage goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So during his childhood, his father educated him in the Islamic knowledge. And he has reached a certain amount of level of knowledge. And then what happened is that his father passed away. In a dream state, after his father passed away, he was very saddened by it. It was told him that for people who dedicate themselves to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, tijara is difficult. So if you want to go on the way of Allah, go to Anatolia, Eastern Anatolia, to a city of Azinjan, and find a person named Ahmed Samarkandi, rahmetullah alayh. Find him and be his student. So that's what he did. He left on foot. After months of difficult journey, he reached the city and he found the teacher and he became his student. Over time, which is a very short period of time, he has reached a level that he has received ijazah from his sheikh. What happened after that is he was sent to another city called Usha. He was there for 50 years teaching people about Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Quran. 50 years. During that time, he has, of course, educated thousands of students, and his name was known all over Western Turkey. And of course, during the time of Ottomans, the Sultan had a son close to where he was living, and he heard his name, and he wrote a letter to him, sent it with a person, and said, I want him to make dua for me, so that I can be the successor to my father. When the person brought the letter, he said, just tell him to depart for Istanbul, and he will take over from his father. He did that. He left. Halfway through, he saw a delegation coming from Istanbul. What happened is that his father passed away. Wazir was sending a delegation to tell him that he will be the successor to his father. So what happened? He went back to Istanbul, Sultan the Murad III. So he did not forget the favor, and he called them to Istanbul. So after all this time, he went to Istanbul, stayed there for over 20 years, and he passed away at the age of 121 on the way from Hajj in Konya, where Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi Şefsi Tebrizi Rahmetullah Aleyh is buried. And then he was carried with a carriage that is pulled by the bulls. And then he was buried in Istanbul. If you go to Istanbul, if you want to visit his gravesite, you can do so. So what did the awliya of Allah do? They take somebody from the lowest level of the nafs, Ammara, and take him to Safi, purest form of the heart. There's an education level required for that. There's difficulties. But through the lineage from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these scholars have done this to many, many, many, many people who desires to do it, who Allah Jalla Jalaluhu designates as their student. So what happens is that when the spirit enters the body, it has 7 layers of curtains. Like you buy a tarp from a store and cover something with it, there's 7 layers of it. So when a person becomes a student, it starts from level 7, Nefs-i Emmare, which we just read from the Quran. Please, you can see it afterwards, Surah Yūsuf, Ayah 53. You can clearly see the state of a person who is in that state. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is saying that nafs is a certain enjoiner of evil. Enjoiner means it urges, it orders the person to do evil. So this is the lowest level. So what happens is that at this level, person is very materialistic. It only values what's in this world. And also very thick, dense. Thoughts are very thick, very dense. And there's darkness in their heart because it's completely consumed by this world, the pleasures of what they can attain here. But as they go through the tazkiyah, the cleansing of the heart, their heart starts to receive nur. It seeps through all these layers and it starts to receive nur. It starts to figure out there's something different than what we value in this world. As these curtains are lifted, then it gets better and better and better. Then a person becomes pure nur, which starts a connection between the person's heart and the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we said that there's 7 layers, and the first one is Nefs-i Emmare. And then we said that when that person is immersed in the pleasures of this world, they get further and further away from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. And if the heart stays in this state for a very long time, what happens is that it loses the ability to figure out what's on the other side. Alam al-Ghayb, the alam, the world that we don't see. maneviyah, does not comprehend, does not understand the other side. And it's saying in that the description of the alam al-ghaib is like a mirror. Somebody's heart has a mirror. It reflects, it has the ability to reflect the attributes of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. How does that work? Is that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is merciful. That name, Rahman, reflects from that person's heart as mercy to other people. But if that heart is covered with rust, covered with mistakes and sins and all this filth, it loses its ability to reflect. How can a mirror reflect something? It is full of gunk on the heart. It's not possible. And over time, even if you try to polish it, it won't work because you have to scrape the mirror now because it has built up so much filth over time that it requires a completely different process. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith saying that إِنَّ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَقَالَةً وَأَنَّ سَقَالَةَ الْقُلُوبِ ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ. We mentioned in the last khutbah that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that there's a tool to polish everything. And the tool to polish the hearts is what? Dhikrullah. Doing dhikr of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. So if a person wants to go that way, they start to stay away from committing sins, making mistakes, making repeated mistakes. And if it puts in the effort to go through these stages, then there's certain manifestations go through that person's heart. What happens? Few examples is that haqiqah, the reality of ashya, which is the material thing, starts to understand, starts to comprehend, and starts to receive deep meanings from the Quran, from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, starts to receive deep meanings by reading them, and then starts to observe divine manifestations, and then starts to become capable, the heart starts to become capable of reflecting of the attributes of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. And in another hadith Qudsi, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is saying that I did not fit in the world and in the sky to anywhere, but I fit in the heart of an ibadi, a mu'min. And it's explained is that it doesn't mean that physically we think, of course Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is munazzah, He's beyond fitting into a space. But that means that through the hearts of that person, He's manifesting Himself. Through His attributes, through His Asma al-Husna, the names of Allah. You can see through that person's heart. So what happens is that in the nafs amara, nafs is constantly telling that person to do bad, constantly. Do this, do that. So, by creation, human beings lean towards carnal desires, lust, shahava, worldly desires, wanting to acquire more wealth, making more money, doing things. It has a natural inclination. So what happens is that nafs uses all its tools, all its weapons to have that person go that way. So what happens is that the continuation of the ayah, if this happens, So the translation is that, except that my Rabb bestows mercy. If Allah Jalla Jalaluhu bestows mercy upon that person, what happens is that Hidayah reaches that person. What is it? Guidance. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu guides that person towards it. Guides it towards doing good things. And what happens in the end of the ayah is that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna Rabbi Ghafurun Rahim. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is of forgiving and most merciful. But a person has to ask for it. Person has to ask to go through the levels of this difficult journey. And person needs to ask the guidance, the hidayah of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu in order to achieve that. Go from nafs amara, that nafs is ordering that person to do bad constantly. And then that person is like unable to do anything but to do bad. So what are the attributes of these people are many. First is ignorance, jahala. Lack of knowledge and ignorance. Second, miserliness, strong desires, enmity, arrogance, anger, lust, envy of people, bad temperament, doing useless things, talking a lot. Sometimes these people are very happy, even unnecessarily. They do idle, like in neutral, car going in neutral, they're idle. They like to be idle. They don't want to do positive things, good things that are written on the right side. They're idle. They're spoiled. And also they deny Ahlidin. They don't think they're necessary. They don't think they're useful for people. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the hadith is saying that your strongest enemy is between your shoulders, your nafs. Your strongest enemy, because it's constantly telling you to do bad. If you have an enemy outside, if you send him gifts, you know the enemy, you see it, you send him gifts, you send certain things, you offer money, whatever, that person might think, well, I received these things, let me just take a little break. But nafs is not like that. If you feed the nafs, he's going to attack you more. He's going to be stronger. How do you feed it? By having the attributes like these. And another indication of a person being in this state is that when they do something bad, they have no remorse. They don't feel bad about doing bad things. They don't even know they did something bad. Perverse people, non-believers, munafiq, they are in this category. We're going to mention what is said as far as the Muslimin, Muslims. What are the three categories of the Muslims that are in this state? Nafs Amara is that one. There are some people, they want to do what Allah Jalla Jalaluhu orders. But they don't care about what Allah Jalla Jalaluhu doesn't want that person to do. They try to do a little bit ibadah, a little bit tasbih, but they don't care about, oh, you're not supposed to do this. They don't care. So, it's said that no matter what you do, you're going to taste death. No matter how you want to live, at the end, you're going to depart this world. No matter what. And then second is that there's people that they don't obey Allah, what He says, what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, and they don't stay away from any of the sins. And the third one, these are called people called, but the second group also, they like the people who are doing ibadah. If they see somebody they like, they say, oh, they praise them. Even though they don't do it themselves. But the third group is called their Islam. They're not called Muslim, they're called Islam. And those are the people that they don't do anything, and also they don't like Islam and Muslims. So may Allah protect us from those kinds of people. Inshallah, we're going to continue in the next khutbahs. The awliya of Allah, we're going to mention some of them, and also we're going to look at the levels of nafs. And today, we only had time for nafs ammara, which is the one that orders nafs to do bad, it orders nafs to do things that are not acceptable by our deen. So, we started the khutbah. For the people that came later, is that one of the awliya of Allah that we mentioned today is the Pir Sayyid Hasan Husamuddin Ussaki, which is, his qabr is in Istanbul. If you go there, please visit. He passed away at the age of 121, educated thousands of people, and he left 126 people that he has given ijazah to educate others. So some of the karama things that is mentioned is that one day the police came to him at that time. Of course, it's not the same as it is now, but people that are in charge of security came to his place and they wanted to figure out who is this person. Is it right or wrong? And they came in here, he was sitting with a student, and they said, we want to talk to you. And he told them, fine. And he told the students to leave. They left. And then, during those days, as you know, in the cities, there were a lot of flies. And he told the flies, you leave too. And they left too. When that happened, people that came, they wanted to kiss his hand and give their apologies, that they realized that he was on the right way.